Yeah, we finished here with the kind of public money, private money, and the second session we'll answer those. Professor Jack will be one of them. He will be talking about procurement. We will also have Francesco, who will talk about business models. And to help you with the second session, I would like to invite Yorgos. He also wanted to announce something. What was that? Yes, tell us.
An announcement, just to continue this discussion. What presented by Chrysostomos is targeted to the education, training, upskilling, reskilling. It's not completely on the social innovation action.
No. It's
I mean, we have a similar experience with completely industrial projects that we want to give this information as a lifelong learning, etc., to the students, to the early professionals, etc. By the way, Chrysostomos mentioned that next year we're going to organize a summer school in Crete, but the announcement is that this September, by the end of September, we're going to organize a summer school, especially for the social innovation. With SCRC from Germany. Some students from Germany will come to Crete together with TU Crete. So it's a good opportunity also to come there and probably to meet Alga, for example, and Manal can participate there, or even create a cluster event in the first day. For example,
we'll talk about this afternoon. We'll talk about this afternoon. Exactly. We will recap on all this. The second session, just to kind of introduce the session, the idea was to look at all those kind of enabling factors that can help the uptake, acceptance, the functioning, the success of circular systemic solutions, and already mentioned some of them. One is kind of the business models and their benchmarking. This will be delivered by Francesco Niglia, someone who worked with some of the projects we had recently, the CISO being one of them. I think some of you are familiar with that. Then we also wanted to touch upon green public procurement, which is a very important thing for the also uptake of circular systemic solutions and circular value chains. And I'm really happy to meet and have Professor Jack van der Veen here online today. And then I think it was, Yorgos, who was mentioning the territorial kind of integration of systemic solutions. So I don't know how familiar you are with the regional innovation valleys. If not, you will become more familiar today, because we will have Legarda Campos, who was in Pamplona last week, or she is from Pamplona. So I met her there before having this meeting, who will tell us more about the innovation valleys. It's a European kind of a platform framework. And we had one of the projects that's funded under that, the European Circular Innovation Valley, and the different territories that are involved there. And then we will talk to these territories in the session 3. So we already have some delays, but according to some kind of predictions and things, should end up very nicely and on time. I just hope that I'm not taking anyone's time who is online. So let's continue. Francesco, do you have your presentation ready? You can share your screen, and then so you can tell us about the business models and what you come across in your work and what your observations are and suggestions, of course.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. And yes, I mean, what you have required me, it is quite broad examples of the activities we have made in the CISO project and later. So I will not, since time constraint, I will not go too much deeper on, and I will start providing a kind of overview. And let me share my screen. No, it's not the second monitor. I don't know what you are looking at. What are you looking at?
Your slides.
Only slides, right?
No, your slides. The slideshow.
Yes, perfect. So only the slides.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. So the target is the focus on benchmarking circular economy business models and support schemes. So just talk about this, and I want to focus a little bit on how to make a project bankable, what is mandatory to consider when to make a project bankable, so to benchmark exactly your potential idea with an actual business, and some discuss at a glance the business families and some tools, existing tools. So why benchmarking business models and support system? What is the purpose? The purpose is that we need to understand, and many projects and initiatives need to understand how to, why some initiatives remain pilots, and other initiative could be scaled, systematically scaled into territorial innovations, territorial procedures, and territorial day-to-day initiatives by leveraging support schemes, what could be the institutional, financial, regulatory context of this support scheme, what makes possible, and also the benchmark is a kind of structured comparison that allows partners, organization to extract some kind of replicable archetypal, let's say, some kind of models, works with some logistic or incentive or whatever, and understand how different regions in Europe, or let's say in Europe, but it could be applied to whole territories, can adapt them. Instead of inventing or reinventing something that can be used, that this is more important. And the third relevant output or outcome of the benchmarking business model CSSBoost scheme is to talk with policymakers. So revealing what is good, what is not good, what is missing, which are the direction for policies. So, I mean, these are three things that I guess most of you already know, but we in the CISO project, we deepen a little bit on that. So let's start going straight. What makes a project bankable? A project bankable is a circular economy project or initiative can be bankable when they address a specific operational and financial concerns that can constitute a priority or be appealing to lenders, to investors, to bank, or to whatever. We are talking in the terms bankable, we include both private and public money, let's say. We are talking, to be clear, 100% of what can be done with a project, with initiative, with a project idea, with a business idea, once the public fund of a project, you know, the European Commission comes to an end, and you have in hand something that can be used. And also, we are talking about some bottom-up ideas that can be discovered during the project, during the support project themselves. So circular projects are bankable when they translate impact in benefits, in monetizable benefits, direct or indirect economic benefits. And they gain credibility when technical and market risks are shared among among the whole ecosystem, the whole partnership, how to say, the whole territory. For example, in the CISO, we understood and studied how a set of business models, which include in them, always include them, the participation, direct or indirect participation of the citizen of the territories in the risk and also in the benefits schemes. So to be appealing to a private investor or business angels, we have to have strong business models and market validation. We have to demonstrate potential for financial return, so for sustainable growth. We have to provide information about impact measurement and reporting, scalability and replicability evidence. We need also to provide evidence and commitment of management team and governance. We need to make clear that we know what is the risk management and the finance planning and the mitigation measures of our business endeavor. Then we'll say, needless to say, we have also to know and comply with the legal and regulatory things. At the end, for investors, but this is very mature ideas and projects, we also have to provide a kind of exit strategy planning. for investors. These are elements that are needed for real idea that want to go in real territories to do something. So the key factors are proven cash flow, manageable risk. I mean, these are the things that I have just said. I can skip. And the bankable documentation and transparency is very important, because this is the thing that makes a project to be analyzed, a project idea, a business idea to be analyzed by banks or by private investors or whoever. Let's say, let me introduce a little bit what can be this landscape of investment opportunities. I'm skipping the idea of European funding. So we have private sectors and impact investors. We have blended finance approach. We have green bonds, social impact bonds. I guess the next session will focus much more on these aspects. For example, private investors. We have venture capital that invest in early stage on circular startup, angel investors that provide seed funding and mentorship to circular entrepreneurs with good ideas, with promising ideas. You know, something like local repair services or upcycling businesses. We have already said, look at something, heard about such kind of good ideas during the previous speeches. Corporate sustainability funds, they invest in circular solutions that align with the corporation's sustainable goal and create strategic value. For example, waste reduction technologies are one of the potential appealing solution for this sustainable fund. When going in blended finance, we have concession loans that are loans with below market interest rates and extended repayment terms to reduce the cost of capital. You know, guarantees that are provided by public or philanthropic entities that guarantee a portion of the investment. So these reduce the risk of loss for private investors. This is a very nice thing. Equity investment. These are for much more mature ideas and business that are public or philanthropic entities that invest in equity alongside private investors. The green bonds. These are bonds issued to financial, environmentally friendly projects, including circular economy initiatives that are not only for circular economy, but are specific for example, social impact bonds. We have heard about social impact, and these are performance-based contracts where investors provide upfront capital for social programs, for governments or foundation, repaying the investors in the programs, and for a predefined social outcome. That could be waste reduction, job creation, wellness, people wellness, or whatever. Crowdfunding platforms that are increasing a lot in these last years. These are online platforms that allow circular businesses to raise capital from a large number of individuals. We have tested the impact of crowdfunding platforms in some of the business models, territorial business models in the CISO, for example. Well, the business models, we have families. This is the same slide we had from intervention of Georgios at the beginning. So I will just say, okay, this is the link to the very first part. So we have circular enterprise families of business models where waste becomes an asset, not a liability that you pay for dispose for. The product of product as a service, so where the customer purchase services for a limited time. The product life extension, that continuous income stream through the product usage cycles, sharing platform, and research recoveries. Research recoveries much more intuitive, that focuses on the 8th stage of usage cycles and recovering embedded materials, energy, and resources. So these are the big 5 families that we can apply to, let's say, to quite all the circular economy initiatives, and from these families we can build business models. With these business models, we can understand which are the good points, the less good points, the gaps and the benefits of our idea, and then build the transaction, the transaction between a single piloted initiative to a large scale, let's say scaled adopted on a territory, even if it is not large, it's already good to be scaled and adopted in a territory. And we start from this. So the first thing is to understand there are many variants. So you don't believe that these five families are how to say are fixed. You have to work when you define the business models. So when define a suitable business models, it's not a straightforward task. The business is not static. There are several studies discussing this, but varies according a set of societal level factors. This is why we have to adapt to each territory and also try to engage citizen or the social part, the social sides of each ecosystem. And these values in each model are perceived differently by stakeholders participating in the circular economy model. We have seen already, I don't remember the name of who have projected a slide with a very big comprehensive scheme with several circles there, which exactly embeds this concept. A value, whichever kind of resource, physical or a benefit, is perceived differently from each stakeholders. And we should consider that. Sorry, I ran a lot. Well, let's say this is a kind of indicative placement, but please just consider this is a very indicative. So when you have to build a business model or when you have to start defining which is my business model family, which is my starting point, you can start using this kind of scheme where you go more on knowledge sharing or idle asset sharing rather than product and services. So resources, you can start defining what is my starting point, and then start building your own business models, moving from that area a little bit around. In our experience, there is a lot. This is a very simplified scheme. In our experience, there was a kind of mess of cross field and cross hybridation of business models, because circular economy and the role of people, of citizen, and the potential participation of citizen with micro credential, with micro investments is going to has already disrupted a little bit these typical business schemes. The key criteria when defining to adopt a most suitable circular business models are these four. I've just mentioned that. Otherwise we run too much other time. So we have understand which is the strategic alignment and feasibility with the territory, and also with the legal boundaries of the territory itself. For example, one initiative in Italy could be adapted with slight difference in Belgium or in Greece, or I don't know, in North Europe. Then understand which is the understand and measure environmental and social impact, and understand which is the operational and technical consideration that focus more on the maturity of the project idea itself, of the business idea itself, and then the risk and adaptability capability, and even flexibility of the risk of the of the governance of the project, governance of the idea, and the governance of the stakeholders. Let's say I try to be. So the best thing when you want to, when you want to define if your project idea could be scaled and then bankable, it's that you have to measure that. You have to measure. So there are several self-assessment and monitoring tools that we have used. We also built one for Deciso that was a little bit scaled and hybrid. It was an hybrid model among 3 different models that are in the literature. So what are they for? These assessment and monitoring tools that are they provide the possibility for circular economy initiatives to self-score. So the potential of investment readiness. So one project, one initiative is already aware if there are gaps, if there are possibility, if it makes sense or not to proceed for a scaling up of the idea. And translate then circularity features in something that can be used on as financial drivers for investors, even banks. This is important. Then provides a checklist of investor expectation. The investor expectation. There are in our questionnaire we have let's say at least 16 different elements that defined only the investor expectation for each project idea. So governance, market validation, scalability, impact for ESG, impact for reporting, what is in exactly. Investors speak a different language from circular economy project. That's our problem. But an investor have the money. And then this monitoring tool provides a track progress over time with a simple dashboard. Simple is strange word. Simple if you want to make it simple, otherwise it's complex one. But they can provide a dashboard, baseline, target, whatever you want. I would say that the inclusion of AI tools has a lot simplified this task for the creation of dashboard. So it's not more difficult, but at least you need to have the parameters to build this dashboard. And then they generate a kind of investor-ready summary of your project. If you want to submit to any kind of funders or supporters of future stakeholders, also in which level you want to engage them. These are some available tools, but there are more than this. Depending on the field of your circular economy project, there are several of these tools. The circular economy scan, the circular transition indicators, the use of these indicators that you can take to build your monitoring tool. And there are the EU taxonomy, the ESG impact tools for investment alignment. Here we have, I left here the links to these, to all these tools, but believe me, there are more, and more they can be refined during the years. Again, the support of the artificial intelligence is making growth these kind of tools at speed very high. So each 6 months you can find a very different, not very different, but a strongly update monitoring tool for circular economy. And if you want to learn more, and we have finished it, this is the last slide.
Okay.
Here I left you the link of our deliverable, where we study in the Deciso project, that is sustainability and comparative analysis of pilot experience in Deciso. This is the project funded under the CCRI. That's me. Okay, I finished it.
Thank you, Francesco.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this presentation. We will keep the questions for later. I don't know if there are some online. I saw Yorgos also taking some notes. Horizon Booster, some of our pilots are participating in this. Do you have any feedback from them? Because I know the Horizon Booster is covering all this kind of marketing, well, not marketing, but like preparing for market or result booster dissemination.
It's mainly for the exploitation, yes.
Exactly.
It is something that...
Do you have some feedback from our pilots on this?
Yes, we already have many feedbacks. We can share it to everyone. It's important part of the implementation of CSSBoost.
Are the other projects also using the Horizon Booster?
It has been suggested by the project officers.
Okay.
Did it?
No? Okay.
Just I want to Francesco to say something that's very important. That yes, we presented more or less the same slide, but I knew that more or less, and it's very important. And probably you already mentioned as families of business models, but in the previous slide you mentioned as archetypes. So this is the second Greek word that we learned today. Archetype is is a Greek word that has two archi, that means origin, starting, and type, which means model or whatever. So my question about if we leave the question for later of that is all these self-assessment, monitoring, and benchmarking then how much are differentiated between the different archetype models?
No, well, I'm honest. They are not so much different. I mean, depending. I mean, when you build a monitoring, the first thing you have to know is exactly which are the parameters I can really grab, I can really gather, I can confidentially gather from my pilot. Which are the numbers? How much I am confident to monitor 1, 2, or 3, whatever. Let's say at least 20 parameters in my pilot. That's it. So it's not about the archetype. It's about the difficulty to collect reliable data, and with this data you can build a much or less refined monitoring tool, but it's not depending on the archetype. What is true is that as much you extend or broaden the participation of different the different stakeholders, it starts to be difficult to have the same timing of the same frequency of data availability. That's the problem. It's a really a matter of data availability and data management issue. That's it. So it's not about the architect. It's not about the architect. It's a mathematical model. It's not more. It's very simple. I mean, maybe mathematical model is already a big word. I mean, with a kind of Excel file, Excel sheet, you can manage this. But the real issue here, and we face it in the CISO, is that okay? So I have my numbers at the beginning of initiative. Then when I can get reliable numbers after 3, 6, 8, 10, 12 months. And for each of our stakeholders, you never have the same kind of frequency. So it was very difficult to have, a batch of coherent numbers. That's the difficulty now.
Thank you, Francesco, for the explanation and for the details on the threats and risk of these different tools and what we need to have first before we approach them. I saw there Professor Jack listening very carefully the previous discussion and Francesco's presentation. So we'll stay in the kind of world of economics and money and spending, but from perhaps a different perspective, because he has been working with some colleagues of mine here at ACR Plus on green public procurement for the uptake of circular value chains. So I wonder, how far did you get with that, and what do you suggest as the way forward especially for public authorities?
Yes, thank you so much, Ernest. First of all, greetings to all from red hot Netherlands. We are code red here all over the place. Probably not as hot as Brussels is, but we are quite hot at the moment. I was very much obliged to get the invitation for a year. Of course, this was immediately set back by the fact that I could only talk for 10 to 15 minutes, which is a crime for a professor, because we are used to talk for 3 hours uninterrupted, but I take up the challenge to do it in 10 minutes. And I was also triggered by the title of this event, Rethinking Value Change, which is basically what I've been doing for the last 25 years, as my profession is a professor of supply chain management, supply chain and value chain is basically, for me at least, the same thing. So I'm really interested. And before I go to the title, maybe we should go to the subtitle or the super title, if you want, to watch a new management paradigm. And for me, that is a rhetorical question. I would say yes, 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 yes. But in practice, that turns out to be quite difficult. And that I will talk about that a little bit. And that also with in mind with what George is in his very nice presentation at the start of this seminar. I said he was talking about that we need a systematic change and that we need a transition and that we also need a behavioral change and that we need an orchestrator and all these things. I 100% agree, but that is also, as far as I know, where the main difficulty lies. And now within the project that you were just mentioning, Ernest, and which also Nuria is very much involved from ACR Plus, that is what we call circular shift. So let me first say a little bit about that so that you know the background, where I come from, where this presentation comes from. This is, again, like many of you are involved in a funded project. In this case, this is a EU-funded project with people from Belgium, from Germany, from France, from Ireland, and from the Netherlands. And this is what we call circular shift. And this is about empowering organizations to scale circular procurement through value chain collaboration, circular strategies, and organizational change. I'm quite sure if I read that, everybody immediately forgets what it was. But at least we have empowering there and circular procurement and value chain collaboration and circular strategy. So it is very much related to what we are discussing today. Now, let me build it up a little bit so that you, the audience, understands what our premises are, where we start from, what our key assumption is, and that is sustainability requires value chain collaboration. I'm quite sure that virtually all participants here would agree. You cannot do circular things on your own. You're always dependent on the partners in a value chain besides your own organization, which has to do already quite a lot. But even if you are great in sustainability, then itself that does not become circular. So we need a value chain collaboration. Now, I've already seen many value chains in many of the presentations. And here I have a bit of a sketch from it, a very simple way of looking at it. We have all kinds of organizations, and we start with the focal organization. And within our project, Circular Shift, these are public organizations, let's say municipalities, cities. We have the city of Mechelen as participant, and the city of Bremen and Bremerhaven in Germany, and in the Netherlands we have Middelburg and Almere, and so we have a focal organization, public organization, doesn't matter. And yeah, in a organization we have all kinds of departments, including purchasing and planning and administration, operations, sales, what have you. And above that we have a management. But the focal organization is only part of the supply chain. We have suppliers, and on the other hand, we have people who do all the R's for circularity. Okay, this is the value chain. But if we say these should collaborate, value chain collaboration, then the immediate question is, yeah, but how do we organize that? Because for the focal organization, we have management, and they can manage that for their organization, but we don't have something similar for the value chain. There is no value chain boss, no value chain captain, no value chain CEO. All these are different organizations. And the typical thing that people then start thinking about is, yeah, there should be one boss of the entire thing who can do everything. But yeah, that is simply not there. And so value chain collaboration becomes the key part here. How do we collaborate with all these different entities. And I said, inside the organization, you might leave that to management, but that is not typically what management does. They are not coordinating all the different activities. Rather, they are coordinating all the different silos. So we have the purchasing people with the target, and we have the operation people with the target, and et cetera, et cetera. And so if we talk about supply chain collaboration, then basically we have internal collaboration between all the different departments or all the different silos there, and we have collaboration with the suppliers and with the customers here there. And who should coordinate that? Who is the orchestrator? And the starting point of our circular shift project is that maybe the purchasing can be the coordinator here, can be the orchestrator. And that's why we have this little star here, procurement, because basically they are the in-between between the suppliers and the organization. But they can also coordinate internally. So we have internal coordination and external coordination. And so we are wondering, can purchasing, can procurement, the people there, be the orchestrator of the supply chain in order to have supply chain collaboration, which can enhance at the end circularity, because collaboration is not the goal, circularity is. So that is basically the starting point here. But we should realize that this is quite asking a lot of them, because like George has said at the start, we need a transition. And the transition, we have, I've listed here some things like silos, integrated process, and cost and efficiency to circularity. And well, you can read it faster than I can mention them. This is basically the task that we then assign to maybe procuring officers. But they cannot do it alone. It should be in a collaborative unit. And so that is basically the starting point where we are looking for. So we need a transformation, and we are wondering, what role can purchasing or procurement play in this? Now, these are quite a lot of things, and in the 25 years that I've studied supply chain collaboration, basically there are always three things that are of key importance, and that's why I was also triggered by the presentation on the skill set, because frequently we focus on this, on the process orientation. We wonder what the business model should be. We wonder, say, what should be the KPIs that we have in our contract, and all these things. These are, of course, very important. And we should have IT systems in place in order to monitor everything. So usually the focus is here, which is fine, which is very important. But then we are missing out on two very important other things, namely, what is the strategy? What ultimately is the goal of achieving that? And then we always get into the conflict. Are we reducing cost and being more efficient, or do we want to become circular? Sometimes these go hand in hand, but sometimes they don't. And then you have to make trade-offs on what it is that you're going to do. And that is all about long-term strategy. So what is the focus of the entire supply chain? What do they aim to achieve? But in my experience, that can even be done, and is usually on the radar of most people. But the last part is really the hard part. This is where the transition really becomes tough, because we are not used to trusting each other. The most contracts that we have are made out of distrust. And we don't have the leadership so much. If you are a procuring officer, you just follow your rules and you do your tender, but to do something different out of your vision, that is, of course, much more difficult. So leadership, culture, trust are all in this sector. So if we want to ask from our friends from procurements, why don't you be the orchestrator? Then basically we ask them, why don't you redesign the process? Why don't you focus on your long-term strategy? And how do you build relationships? How do you build your leadership, etc.? And that, of course, is quite an effort that we ask from them. If you go more to the nitty-gritty of what the procurement people are supposed to do when compared to their current activities, then we can immediately see that they need to scale up in this portfolio matrix. So basically, this is saying of all the items that we purchase, how are we going to do it? Now, the most comfortable square is here, the price buyer. This is the tendering, and this is all bread and butter for any procurement officer. However, if you want to go to circularity, then you get much more in the upper half because things become much more complex and unknown to you. And so then we have things like best value procurement or partnerships, supply chain collaboration or value chain collaboration. And these are different types. So already for purchasing, even if you leave them out of all this orchestrator thing, already they have to change their own activities, and this also holds for this procurement cycle, where typically they are here, buy better. They are procurement officers, so they want to buy better. But in circularity, also this part, post-tender plays a role, and pre-tender plays a role. So already, even if you don't even ask them to be orchestrator, they already have to go to formidable change. Now, the project that we are in is wondering how can procurement officers upscale their skills in terms of buying better and being involved internally, as well as how can they be orchestrators and make this change, this systematic change, this transition, the behavioral change, how can they all make true? We are still in early stage. We are developing. We are with pilots, and we try to train the people and then execute the pilots along these lines and see whether this could actually help us in more circular procurement. My final slide is that we always have to realize, I think everybody here attending is realizing this, and that is why it's nice that we meet each other, is that innovation sounds nice, change sounds nice, transformation sound nice, but in real life are hell, are very difficult to achieve, because always people think that you are crazy. You first have to go to the valley of death. Things go worse before they get better. You have to get out of your comfort zones. You fail first, and then you say, yeah, but I'm learning. And everybody says, no, you're failing. And so we have to stick close together and tell each other of our failures, but also of our successes in order to make this come true. And I think most people from the outside think, yeah, circular, yeah, you do circular. How difficult can it be? Well, the more you're on the outside, the simpler things look. We all know that it is difficult, so we have to support each other and share successes, of course, but also failures, because there we can learn something. And that is what our Circular Shift project is all about. So to sum it up, we feel that there is a change needed. We feel that there is value chain collaboration is needed, and we hope that the purchasing people can play a pivotal role in making this come true. But whether that can really happen, we are researching in this project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Jack, very much for your lecture and for these images on your last slide. It's an interesting material for some T-shirts to be printed if someone wants. But it also makes you think at the same time. And what I know that something that might happen, and I will be reaching out to the others, and this might be interesting for CSSBoost as well. Your project, the one that you were presenting, and another mine, which is an Interreg Europe that I work on called Behave, looks very much at kind of target behaviors and behaviors we want to see in the society that can, drive forward the uptake. Not necessarily, it can be any of the target groups, it can be any of the value chain, but what is the behavior we want to see in the society? And there is something that we started discussing, so hopefully we'll be able to kind of combine all this into something for autumn or for later this year. Because what I was curious in CSSBoost and in other projects also, to what extent did you reach out already to the public authorities, and how much do you talk about procurement in your projects? I mean, you produce a lot of things that are mainly targeted public authorities to buy.
This is the key aspect. Huh? There is a very huge potential, but there are from my point of view, there are very few public administration that are able to enter in this process. My experience, I mean, in my city, I was surprised by the efficiency of the public partners. Huh? I was really scared, but when we started working together, I was really, really impressed. But there are a very few number compared to the majority. In the other project, the Plan City Life, we, along the years, made a lot of congress workshop with the public administration. It's very, very challenging. And I would say they are not bad, but they need to be taken by hand and to be engaged in doing something different to what they've been, because in their system, there are no incentives. I mean, the people to check. It's taking responsibility to learn something new. Should I succeed or should I fail? Why I have to? This is not. It's not easy. I think that one of the advantage in working together in the cluster or it's really to share experience and idea about how to overcome certain bottlenecks or certain obstacles that are more or less the same everywhere. I have ideas, other people have ideas, but I think that the solution could come only through dialogue and trying to test which ideas maybe become a sort of let's say, help to, or it could be implemented, or could contribute to change mindset.
Okay, let's exchange some of these ideas this afternoon in the cluster. Yeah. We have one more presentation I was mentioning earlier on in this session when it comes to kind of the territorial cooperation. There's this the Regional Innovation Valleys, which is the European framework, and I'm really happy to have Legarda Campos here today online from Sodena, from the Navarra region in Spain, because they are the or coordinators and carriers of one of the projects. So I thought this would be, when we talked about, buyers and then buyers as local authorities as buyers, and then we are still staying at this kind of public authorities, but from a different perspective, and the support that is available for them to implement circular solutions in their circular strategies, for instance. So yeah, and the European Circular Innovation Valley is a project which demonstrates this. So Legarda, please tell us more about the Innovation Valley.
Hi, Ernest. Thank you for the invitation, and it's nice to be here talking about ESIF and about the Regional Innovation Valleys. Could you check if you can see my slides? Is good? Okay. So I think everything that I have included in my presentation is already mentioned, which is great because we are all working as in the last presentation. I like a lot the last slide because it's good to share how we feel while working in the transition, and specifically in the transition to circular economy. So maybe you are already familiar with the RIPS concept. RIPS are out of the Regional Innovation Valley that aims to connect ecosystem to not only connect ecosystem, but connect ecosystems of regions in Europe in order to accelerate the innovation and create powerful linkages between regions. So they are a flagship initiative established by the European Innovation Agenda, and It contains around 150 regions that have selected to have this label. This Regional Innovation Valley label name aims to bridge innovation gaps and accelerate the deployment of solutions through interregional collaboration. So as I mentioned, it gives a lot of importance to in regions, like the change happened in regions and how this through collaboration can escalate throughout Europe. So there are already 5 projects founded in the Horizon Europe in 2024, and 2 of them are about circular economy. And the one that is led by Navarra region is the ESIF. Later, Julieta from Valonia, who are also part of the ESIF project, will give their perspective at the regional level. And we also can with the participation of ACR+. So to remark again what are regional innovation valleys. So they aim to strengthen European innovation cohesion among regions in order to reduce disparities and to increase the collaboration. Sometimes we focus on the differences we have among regions. Of course, we are a continent with different particularities, but we have the ability to work together and to share same challenges, and especially related to circular economy or resource efficiency as a main core of these societal challenges that we share around Europe. It also goes in line with the smart specialization strategies. That is also some commonality among the European regions. And as I already said, the main goal is to connect ecosystems across Europe, so that regions work together with less borders than before. And in the case of ESIF, ESIF states to European Circular Innovation Valley. We are composed by 19 entities, mostly regional governments or development agencies. We are together of 12 regions, participants from 12 regions from 8 different countries, as you can see in the European map. And this project started in 2024, and it will last 5 years. So the project goal and main aim is to create interregional value chains, circular value chains. So one of the intentions from doing so is to increase Europe competitiveness and also to decrease the dependencies, especially on resources. And how we aim to do so is through a mission-oriented framework. So we have identified what are common interregional challenges, and we are tackling them at regional level, but also at interregional level, as we are start building up this interregional value chain. And apart from the knowledge sharing and mobilization of resources among the regions, the project also count with 2 open calls, and here come the finance part. So there were 2 open calls for interregional innovation projects. These are cascade funding calls, and with the obligation of participating of regions from different participants from different regions of the project. So this is a tool for increase these interregional value chains. And also there is one call for experimentation. The first call was already on March, and now we are getting the final results on them. And at the end of this year, there will be the second open call for interregional innovation projects. As I already said, the main objective is to make the significant change in the transition towards circular economy, and we all agree that this transition needs to be systemic. So we have to understand different parts of the system and understand the different particularities of the regions to be able to work together through a common goal. And this common goal is based on the missions. So we work on this approach of project place-based missions. It's a challenge-driven approach, and this is really similar to the CSS project. So we don't work on sector-specific, we work on systemic value chain views. And we aim to create interregional portfolio, not only for small isolated projects, but the idea is to really work on regional and interregional ecosystems with shared goals. And to do so, we need to involve quadruple helix, and that's what we are doing. So we have formulated the different submissions that were relevant for the regions in the consortium, and then we have redraft and do different approaches and methodologies to get to certain missions priorities that we can focus on, because there are a lot of challenges that we could tackle, but we are focusing on prioritizing what are most relevant at interregional level. So we understood missions as a direction, so a light to get, and this direction should be interregional, but to get there we have to work regional, because if we don't work regional we will not get the interregional goal we want to achieve. So to see a bit on perspective, the RIF will be that the framework that allows this SE project, that what makes possible this project to succeed are the interregional missions. And if we achieve these interregional missions, we are getting to the overall goal of systemic change. And to put all the ingredients together that we need to have to get there, are that regions are taken in as the core of real enablers for transition. We need frameworks that collaborate on this, such as RIFs or other type of frameworks that already exist. And we have to project clear circular systemic solutions that we want to adopt. And within the missions, I think this is exactly what you also do in some of your research or projects. We have identified what are the influencing variables at regional and at interregional level that mostly in some cases are the same. So for example, one of the missions is circular bio-based materials in construction. So this is our target, and we identify what are the technology and systems, what are the cultural norms behind. So, okay, there is a perception, there could be that one blocker is that there is a perception that bio-based material is not as good as business as usual material nowadays. Okay, what we need to do to change this in order to get to a circular bio-based material in construction. Same with policy and regulation, infrastructure and business models and incentives. So we check what is helping and hindering in the regional and interregional ecosystems to achieve the missions that are the systemic parts of the systemic change we want to achieve. And something that I heard before, so I add a couple of slides because I think this is also relevant to all of you, is the capacities and capabilities. So we cannot only talk about goals or missions if we don't analyze at the regional level what do we have, what we don't have, and what we should do to achieve that. So we have analyzed what are the capacities and capabilities to work on the transitions at the regional and interregional level. So capacities as the building blocks knowledge, technology existing in the region, regulation. So what are the what are the variables that exist? And capabilities, how are they organized effectively? Because it could be that there are enough capacities, but because they are lacking on capabilities, the systemic change becomes it does not become a reality soon, or something in particular is blocking. So it's important to make a self-reflection of, okay, what do I have, in which things I can improve. So the capacities and capabilities we analyze were system awareness. Is the region, are the different stakeholders in the region aware of what is circular economy? Are there different interpretations of this? And also regarding materials flows or resources, okay, do we have a harmonized way to measure this at the region? Also, there is any collaboration building, so does exist any platform or hub where stakeholders that are interested can share and learn from each other on circular economy? Also, in terms of resources and investments, are there incentives or fiscal measures to circular economy? Also, regarding the private scheme. Also, infrastructure. So do we have innovations infrastructure that allows circular economy pilots or experiments? And regarding governance and institutional adaptation also, okay, if there any clear structure on how we govern circular economy in the region? And in terms of capabilities, more do we scan and foresight what will happen or what could happen? Regarding collaboration building, also, do we talk with other regions in Europe? How we try to engage consumers and citizens, which is in some cases are the more complex part of the quadruple helix stakeholders. And regarding the resources and investments, also the articulation, because it could be that they already are in place, but they are not well articulated, and maybe stakeholders are not aware that they could benefit of certain resources. And the transition management, look, in the governance part, has already the region created this cross-departmental structure that allows circular economy, or is not considered a necessity in the region, or okay, how to build up these seats to achieve this transition. So these are in a nutshell what we have analyzed, and this will be published soon. So I hope it's also could be also replicated to other regions. And to sum up, I want to stand out the importance of creating the conditions for circular transition. So otherwise, the systemic change will not happen as a whole. And circular economy needs that vision, that regions are critical transition actors and should be in the core of the transition, and that the regional innovation valleys could accelerate this scaling up. And if you want to get in touch, here is my contact, and happy to answer any doubts or questions. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. This is one of the, I think it's very reassuring for us who work and our pilots and demonstrator researchers who try to come up with new innovative circular systemic solutions. And we're writing all those policy recommendations, thinking, no one likes us, no one wants to support us. And then you see that there are actually a lot of regions. I mean, I love seeing that map, and I'm sure that the other projects that were funded under the regional innovation valleys include many other regions across Europe. So that's something I would perhaps invite everyone to check, whether the region you are located in or where you are demonstrating a certain solution is there. Because as I said, it's just reassuring to see that, yes, the regions are actually thinking about this. They're trying to kind of expand their, as you were saying, capabilities and capacities, because often it's recognized as one of the kind of, limiting factors. So it was and I'm really happy. This is one of the reasons why for this particular event, we also wanted to close it with a session with regions who are demonstrating certain things that we already talked about. And you already announced Giulietta, who came a long way from Namur this morning, who is kind of a territory that participates in the Circular Innovation Valley. And you also online have Rosa from the Alentejo region in Portugal, who has been participating and working with Francesco and other pilots on the CISO project. So I am really happy that you're still here with us. We still have some half an hour to spare. I hope we all can. Yes,
Ernest? Yeah, would you have time for a short question or not? I let you completely up to you, or maybe we can, Legarda can reply maybe in the chat directly.
Sure, yes,
as
because
you're both online. That would be better.
Yeah, before we close the second session, so we'll have Rosa, I said, Giulietta, who is here. We'll have half an hour for their experiences. But before we do that, to close the second session, Yorgos, do you have any questions?
I think we covered everything, and especially Legarda's presentation was very interesting. I also copied a lot of things to put in my next presentation.
Okay, very good. Very good. So there are some questions online then.
Yes. Jack, I'll let you take the floor again.
Yeah, I don't want to take up more time than necessary, but a very nice presentation, Legarda. I really appreciate it. My question was really, okay, there are a lot of these regional or city approaches. I live near Amsterdam. We have the Amsterdam Economic Board. I also live near Utrecht. We have the Utrecht Economic Board. I myself come from Groningen, which is part of your research, I suppose. Some University of Groningen listed there. But so, yeah. And all these are great initiatives. Everybody is willing to do something and talk and go out of the way. But at the end of the day, frequently, at least in my experience, nothing happens. And why is that? Because everybody on a great scale wants to do something, but they don't have skin in the game. And they don't have, let's say, a personal commitment to actually do something. They like to talk about it, and they like the goals, and they like the network opportunities. So how to elevate this issue of a lot of talk but no action? You must have some experience. Good experience.
Thank you, Jack. I have actually studied in Utrecht, so I am familiar with this area.
Good.
I agree with you, and I agree with what you said in your presentation about circular public procurement, about the mandate. Sometimes you can have really good ideas, but if you don't have certain mandates that obliges you to do so, it stays there, as you mentioned. Mm-hmm. And I would say with this mission-oriented approach, the idea is that all regions see that is something that they can take some benefits to their territories, and on one hand from the funding, because there were 25 million of funding for the open calls, but not only for the funding, but also for this building community on that maybe what one region needs is not to fund a project. They need to understand certain technology that is happening in that region, and they only need this connection, and then maybe problem is solved. So on one hand, is taking advantage of the network, but also really going to the ground of the territory, because this is what we have analyzed throughout the missions. Like, okay, what are the reality of our regions and how we can solve certain challenges working together.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff, for the question. Thank you, Gabriel, for the answer. Thank you, Yorgos, for helping me with this session. I would like now to invite Jean-Benoit here to help me with the last session. Why Jean-Benoit? You might wonder, he's a colleague of mine with a very long record in waste management, observing quantities. He loves data. We have a lot in common. He sits in the office next to mine, and he's the thematic lead of the waste and material flows. So a lot to do with different value chains, waste quantities, and where could what go. And he was in Pamplona with me last week at the General Assembly. François was mentioning it. When it comes to the regions, the members of ours and Navarra that was presenting, showcasing lots of things, did you have any observations in like how fast they are advancing, or do things sound promising to you?
Thanks, Ernest, for having me. Hello, everyone. Indeed, we are together in Navarra. Things are progressing. I don't know if we can be optimistic or pessimistic. It's also depend on how we are personally, I think. But the example of Navarra, I'm not saying that because the previous speaker from Sodena is listening, but the example of Navarra is a very interesting, and I think they can be considered as a front runner. A trend that we see, I think, in front-running region is that circular economy is not a topic on its own, but it's getting embedded in different policies. And I think that we were talking about capability. This is a bit of that. This is about understanding all the different regional policies or different departments or agencies can embed circular economy or can profit to circular economy more than having a strategy and trying to implement that on our own. And I think something that was telling in Navarra is the number of different agencies. We met the government, but also Sodena, and I don't know how many different regional agencies working on different aspects, economic development, skills, training, innovation, and all working together on a circular economy, bioeconomy. So I think this is kind of the key for unlocking this circular economy and making it operational. Then this is also something we see in different regions. It requires alignments between the different regional organizations. We have one members in the Netherlands, in Friesland, that they were talking about it's not only involving all those different departments or agencies, but also sharing the same visions and what those different departments that all have a different objective or agenda. Some is economic development, some is environmental protection, some are innovation, on what kind of vision or value they can all agree. Unfortunately, I can't remember. They had a very short term for all of them to agree. I can't remember what it is, but I think it's also interesting to align the work of the different so that they go all in the same direction. Maybe the last thing I want to say, because I think we're very late, and lots have been said, and it's been said by previous speakers, is that one of the challenges that we live in a linear world, in a global economy. It's been reminded as a consumer, this is what you see when you want to have your phone repaired, or when you want to buy a healthy food and it's more expensive. And it's the same for regions, like circular business models are challenging, linear business models are more profitable. It's more expensive to, like if we rely a lot on local jobs, local employments that are more expensive. We've got stricter environmental regulation that we need to comply with, and all this, the linear economy is less, if not like not impacted. And so we still need to make sure that the European framework makes it interesting and relevant for regions to act.
Well, one of the agents, well, you were mentioning here the regional agencies that they are, there to kind of focus on specific efforts with people who are experts in that field. We have Circular Bologna here and Giulietta. I know quite some things about Circular Bologna. I keep being reminded because when you arrive to Brussels Airport, there's a massive poster saying Circular Bologna. So that's something why I keep, remembering Circular Bologna. But to hear more about the efforts and the experience from the ESSI project, Giulietta will tell us more. You can come here on the panel. We also have Rosa online. I hope she is still with us. I don't remember. Yeah, you both had some presentations. We have if we can do this reflection within the next 20 minutes, both of us, that would be good, because I'm sure a lot of things were said. But yeah, it's the experience that I'm the most curious about.
Thank you for inviting me. So my name is Giulietta Dugo, and I work for the Public Administration of Bologna, and more specifically in the Economic Policy Department, which is the department that leads the main economical strategies in Bologna. And I will just give you a short overview on how Bologna is working on circular innovation, and especially why it is interesting now for Bologna to join European initiatives such as the European Circular Innovation Valley. So Bologna has been working on circularity and innovation for many years, but it was only in 2021 that the government decided to really frame those fields through two different strategies: Circular Bologna for the circularity, and the Smart Specialization Strategy for innovation. And the Smart Specialization Strategy focuses on 5 different thematic areas, one of which is circular materials. And on the other way, innovation is really a pillar in our circularity strategy. So as you can imagine, there are many synergies between the two of them. And during those last years, so the two strategies are still ongoing. And during those last years, there were many different initiatives that were launched in terms of awareness raising, but especially structuring of stakeholders and support of companies in their transition towards circular innovation. And then, of course, we had some more specific initiatives in some specific sectors. We tried to focus a lot on circular design for plastics, metals, textile. We launched a specific call for project for the construction sector, and we financed some innovation portfolio projects, especially in the metals sector, for the minerals as well, and for the wood sector. So what is the result of those different, you can okay, thanks. Which is the result of this work that has been done in the last few years. The result is that now Bologna has a rich ecosystem in terms of circular innovation. I put on the slide a screenshot of a page of our website where we developed a platform of the different circular innovation initiatives in Bologna and the different stakeholders that are involved in those initiatives, just to show you that there are many actors now that are involved in this field. And so the region now is, as I was saying, a region that is rich in terms of innovative stakeholders, rich in terms of innovative projects that enabled the development of some innovative products and services that are at the moment at our commercialization phase. Just to give you an example, in Bologna, there's a strong production of insulation products with bio-based material for the construction sector. And it also enabled to have to develop some specific expertise in material valorization, for example, for the recycling of some specific rare metals and also minerals. And of course, some expertise in design and innovative business models. So given this context, at the moment, the next step for our region is to scale up So to enable those local initiatives to really gain in competitiveness, and the main ambition of the government is to turn this circular innovation into a concrete industrial lever for Wallonia. You can change. So we started a few months ago a new phase, given this context, a new phase of our strategy on circularity that we called Circular Wallonia 2.0, that really has the strategic objective to make Wallonia a competitive and resilient industrial region through our knowledge that has been developed on circular innovation in the last few years. And we really want to focus on industrial competitiveness, on strategic autonomy and resilience towards crisis, to try to secure as much as possible our supply chains, and try to be less dependent to raw materials, etc. And we really want to mobilize as much as possible our public instruments to support some strategic projects. We really want to focus on the stakeholder mobilization and have a really structured governance. I think it has been mentioned that one of the main barriers is the fact that we work in silos. So here the idea is try to involve as much as organisms as possible, to have really a systemic approach, and of course to be aligned with European priorities as well. Okay, this is just an overview on the different levers that we want to work on at a public level to try to be as systemic as possible, but we can go straight to our priority value chains. So since the objective is to make Wallonia a competitive and a resilient industrial region, the government decided to focus our strengths on 4 specific value chains that really has the potential to go to an upgrade, to go to an industrialization phase. So we will be working mainly on metals, critical materials, construction sector, chemistry, and also agri-food, bio-based materials, and water. So for each of these value chain, what we are doing is that we are developing a specific action plan to support the transition, and also we are guiding and supporting some strategic large scale projects in order to enable them to scale up. So given this, you can change the slide. So given this context, we think that this is a good approach, but of course there are still some regional challenges that we have to face, especially when we talk about value chains. Sometimes at a regional level, it's difficult to really enable those stakeholders to go to an industrialization phase, because maybe there are no infrastructure, there are some parts of the chain that are missing, and so we started to realize that it was really interesting for Wallonia to really be part of a European scale. Sometimes, for example, we could have an innovative technology, but maybe we don't have enough material flows to make it economically valuable. Or we could have another innovative idea and solution, but we don't have the infrastructure to make it possible. So that was one of the main challenges. And then, of course, we have many other challenges that have already been discussed, such as public procurement and regulations that are like main barriers at the moment in our region. So the thought that came up was, is it efficient enough to tackle those challenges only at a regional scale? couldn't we try to tackle those in a European scale to be more effective? So that's why we joined in 2024. In 2024, the project European Circular Innovation Valley, and it was really interesting for us because we really realized that okay, we are different regions, we have sometimes not the same priorities, and every region has its own specificities, but in the end, most of the times we have the same objectives. In terms of, for example, to strengthen Europe's resilience. Sometimes we tackle common challenges such as regulations, skills, circular skills, innovation, public procurement that we could tackle in a stronger way if we do it together. And as I was saying before, every region shares the need for interregional collaboration to backhaul a value chain or to develop new value chains. So there's a common need in the project to go from innovation, the innovative solutions, to deployment of those solutions, and we think that the best way to do it is at this European scale. So I will not get into the project because Legarda already shared enough, but I can end the presentation only by saying that for Wallonia, there are many positive impacts at the moment for being part of this project. It still has to continue until 2029, but up to now, one of the first, I would say, positive impact is the fact that we have a possibility as a region to exchange our expertise. We have the opportunity to share our experience and to have to know some other best practices from other regions. And for Wallonia, it was the I would say the first time that we are part of a European project concerning circularity, even though we joined also the RECIBA project as well, more on the skills part. And we are going to start now to have the development of this circular ecosystems of the region that really wants to connect the different regional ecosystems, and this is going to be really important for our local stakeholders because they are really looking for stakeholders in other regions to develop some strategic projects or other collaborations. So this is something that is really a great benefit from us, and that will allow the region to reach the objective to increase the competitiveness of our stakeholders. And then it's an opportunity, as I already said, to stronger tackle some common challenges. And also in terms of our regional strategies, being part of this project, it's a way for us to strengthen our regional strategies because we can take some of the best practices and use them in our region. And also it is an opportunity for Wallonia to also be seen as to increase its visibility as a region that it's considered in the project as a leader in circular innovation. So it was just an overview about the benefits of being in such an initiative.
Thank you, Giulietta. Well, I have some good news for you. I mean, I see that you're benefiting from ESIF, and I hope that you took advantage of this event as well, because if you're looking for inspiration for those priority industries you listed, construction, chemistry, agri-food, I mean, the pilot or the projects that were here, that's exactly what we're doing. So yeah, you should look into that because there is probably something you could perhaps replicate or bring forward. Thank you, Giulietta, once again. We also have, do we have Rosa still online?
Yeah.
There she is. Hi, Rosa. We don't hear you yet. You seem unmuted, but we can't hear you.
And now?
Yes, it's better now. So Rosa, we have from Portugal, because she was involved in the CISO project. So just like I was asking Julieta, like, do you have some key kind of learnings, and what are the experiences from the project?
Yes, thank you for the presentation now, and I'm going to try to give you a little, share with you the experience that we have related to circular economy in Alentejo, and I don't know if you can see my presentation.
Yes.
Yeah. So just let me put here. So what's happened? We joined the partnership regarding to the CISO project, and it has a very simple starting point. Our agri-food sector in Alentejo often faces difficulties accessing finance, identifying circular opportunities, or even connecting with innovation networks. So it was a very starting point, very simple. We had all the structure of the project related to the Horizon projects, like our colleague from CSSBoost we have the stakeholders engagement, and then identify the barriers and opportunities to design our PDA structure and the business models, and then to have some policy recommendations. But when we identify the barriers and opportunities with our stakeholders in the region, we have a challenge. What seems very simple, it becomes a big challenge. Why? Because we have to respond to identified needs of the SMEs and transform circular economy opportunities into investment-ready project by developing a business model and a PDA tailored to a regional ecosystem that was still taking shape, and to financing with the needs with not yet fully aligned with the needs of the circular projects. So we have a structure, we have to respond to a project, and then we have the reality of our region. We know that we have very many projects of circular economy. We run some circular economy projects and a forum for circular economy in the region to promote and divulgate the circularity in our region since 2017. It was very important, but when we talk with our stakeholders, the reality is completely different that it seems to be in the beginning. So what the disease was important, why? Because we was able to increase the awareness of private financing opportunities, because when we start, we, as a CCDR, is the responsible for the regional operational program in the region, and Interreg, some projects of Interreg, POCTEP projects. We think it could be very easy, but we had the private funds that exist, like Francesco showed, business angels and that kind of private financial from private entities, and we didn't have that in the regions. So we had to identify those and to show to our stakeholders that it's possible and there are new opportunities regarding that. The other thing, it's because we were able to co-design funding schemes based on the real needs of the SMEs. We identified that the needs of the SMEs of agri-food sector was completely different of what is proposed and what exists in the calls, in the different calls, about the money, about the time of the projects, a few things, and we were able to design two financing schemes related to the real needs of our entities. And we also design the regional ecosystem of circular economy in Alentejo. We knew that we had different entities working in circular economy directly or in projects that was not directly defined as circular economy project, but was involved in the circular economy, and we were able to design that. So what was the main outcome of the DECISO project? Before the DECISO, many circular economy initiatives existed in isolation. Through the project, we brought together municipalities, SMEs, business associations, universities, and identified all the initiatives and projects related to circular economy. We were able to identify our main sectors here. Regarding the project, we identified 366 projects in the region related, directly related to circular economy. We identified our main sectors where the agri-food was the number one. We identified in the region where are those projects. Why we identified also the main financing schemes that supported those projects. So we have here now a knowledge, a very important knowledge about the circular economy in the regions. And that was very important because what that brings to the region. We have now established circular economy ecosystem. We have new cooperations. We have integrated into the regional policy discussions regarding circular economy. And we start the foundations of new projects involve different actors. For instance, we make a workshop related to the waters, the dark waters of olive oil sector. What happens? It becomes two projects related, one with energy and the other one related to microfibers from the olive oil sector. So two projects completely different from olive oil sector that we supposed to, but because of the involvement of all those actors was very, they emerged this kind of projects. So because one thing that the DECISO project was very important was the sustainability of the outcomes of the project, and we were able to make a memorandum of understanding with the intermunicipal community of the region, and they're going to continue feed the ecosystem defined in the region. So they, through this project, ICER, they going to feed the database that we have with the projects, the kind of the projects, the sectors, and the financing schemes that support circular economy in the region. This is very important, for we don't lose the knowledge and the importance of circular economy in our region. This was a direct outcome from the DECISO project, but more important than that was the lessons that we learned. So with the ecosystem built and all the actions that we have and the connectivity that we had with our partners, now it was possible to have a new opportunity of funding circular economy related to water, because it was the second sector more important in the region regarding circular economy and the landscape. We have many entities work with circular bioeconomy in the wine sector. That is one of the main sector in the Alentejo regions. Also, some awareness and support programs that was one of the needs identified in the region from business entities, business associations, and the National Association of Business. And we have also the first doctorate degrees in Alentejo regarding the circular economy. So the DCISO left many seeds in the region and a good solid base to continuing to promote the circular economy in the regions. So what is the more importance here? It's that we learn that circular economy is primarily a governance challenge. As George said in the beginning, it's a kind of governance alignment, and we needed that governance in the circular economy and work together with them. The cooperation between actors are essential. The SMEs in the regions need tailored support rather than generic funding instruments. The real life examples that we show and we share with them are extremely important. SMEs are much more likely to engage when they see successful examples from organizations facing similar challenge. And then the private finance can complement public funding. This was very important, not only for us as CCDR's region, and look to other opportunities to finance circular economy and to promote the circular economy in the regions, but mainly for the actors and the SMEs to learn this. And I think that the main words that I have to say is DCISO did not only design and support schemes or financing schemes, because this is an area that no one talks about. Circular economy was the first time that we related financing schemes with circular economy in the regions, but it created the ecosystem, the partnerships, and the governance structures needed for future circular investment to happen. But I think that the good examples we should follow, and I'm going to follow the George example, and I left two questions. We have produced many valuable recommendations across CCRI projects, and identify also opportunities and barriers in different sectors, in different value chains. That was very important. But how do we ensure they become policy and not only the reports? How do we ensure that going to have a consequence on our reports? I think this is a very important question that we should ask to all of us. And the other one is, how can we ensure in the long term the engagement of policymakers so that the regional ecosystem created, like mine and like others, continue to grow after the funding ends? It's very important that in the decision, for instance, we have the basis. We think we thought that could be a very simple project, but we learned so much about the needs of our region. And when we start to work with our stakeholders, when we have their engagement, when we have the compromise of the policymakers, the project ends. And how are we going to ensure the continuity of this? And just one word to what Francisco said about the business models. It was very important for us to understand that the kind of the business model we supposed to design and to achieve with the DCISO project was not the important thing for our stakeholders in the region. So we designed a project with a very logical idea, but when we face the reality of the region, we understand there are much more simple things and basic things were needed for our stakeholders than a business model or a PDA scheme at this time. So when now we have the base, probably we should go with another project or another kind of things to now we could do the PDA and the business model as used to, should have done. So thank you. I hope to give my contribution and to the meeting.
Thank you very much for this contribution. You did make a contribution. It was a very positive presentation and story that you told us, and I'm really happy that the project worked out for your region. It's always good to see also Wallonia and many other regions I came across, and I'm sure Jean-Benoit as well, to see projects which really take the most out of what's out there, that they really want to learn, etc., etc. And the two questions you asked in the very end, they are worth probably a couple of $1 million. Once we have the answer for this, I would be very happy, because I have to usually work on these policy recommendations sometimes. And the afternoon will be dedicated to that, because we will tap into the policy recommendations also, and the campaign within the CircNet cluster. Jean-Benoit, do you have any closing words for the session?
Yeah, very quickly, because I think everyone is angry. And...
We're only 45 minutes. What's the average delay?
No, I think something I like from the last presentation is really the habit of being too generic, like trying to have a ready-to-make method. Like we see that it's a lot about understanding the need of at territorial level, and this is a good lesson from organization like ACR Plus or all the projects we're involved in. We usually want to have something ready to use for replication, and we are not there yet. Like we really need to be wary of not being too generic, or not trying to solve everything with general methods, but really something more tailor-made.
Thank you, Jean-Benoit.
Yep.
Thank you all of you there on the screen, the different initials I see, for your patience and your interest in this event.